Welcome on back, my invisible camera. I'm here now. Welcome on back, everyone, for the halftime show here in the, I guess, split screen show here between the games of Team Liquid Academy's destructive game number 1 against Golden Guardians Academy. That one is a conversation we'll definitely get to at a later point here between the games. But first, I'm going to play a little game. And this is the first time I've gotten to do this iteration of it, so I'm very excited. But we're going to have another version of Yordle for you today, Rafa and Joshi. We'll see what you can come up with here.
We're really bad at this.
What we're gonna have.
We have never lost.
Never, ever. Maybe there's more chances now because we've changed the format. We're doing 6 by 6. You've never heard of this before. I don't. This is a completely new concept. It is, a 6-letter word that I have picked out. I'm going to have these casters guess 6 times, potentially, what this word will be. Don't know if they'll need all 6, or maybe they will. The key to this is, when you guess a letter correctly, it will be green on the screen. If you guess the letter correctly, if it's in the right place, it'll be green. If you guess the letter correctly, but it is in the wrong place, it'll be yellow. And if you guess the wrong letter in the wrong place, or wrong letter at all, it will be gray. So we'll go ahead and get this kicked off. Let's bring up the Yordle graphic and see what we got cooking. Joshi, I will say your normal go-to is no longer available.
I know, I can't do it.
What you gonna do?
Dude, I could Giga Troll it.
Oh no!
I could just use Rafa, so we could get 4 A's in there.
What?
Is that what you really want?
No.
I don't know about that one.
Wait. I totally tuned out. I was jamming. What?
Oh,
how
great.
do we play again? No, I'm just kidding.
It's a completely new concept that I've come up with.
Yeah.
Okay. 6 by 6. I got you.
The key words are lock it in when you want to lock in a word.
All right.
So I'll let you guys deliberate. Whoever wants to guess the first word can go ahead.
So
Hey, Josh.
Yeah, what up?
What about strike?
That is the wrong number of letters.
Wait. No. ST.
No, that's the right letter. That's the right amount.
Yeah, that's 6 letters.
Oh, I can't spell. Okay.
Come on, man.
Oh no! I think we
Lock
should
it
have put
in.
out like a preliminary, like you need to know this many words
I can't
and
count
letters.
that high. There are only 5 people on a League of Legends
We
team.
need to have a test here. So let's see, is strike going to yield anything for you guys? Hey!
Oh.
Yeah, 1 letter in the right place, and it is an E, giving you so many more words to think of that end with E.
True. All right. Well, we need to get a couple of vowels and a bit more.
That's fine. How about? Well, I was about to say.
I will say, just as a little aside, it is some sort of theme to do with the series, with the game, maybe something along those lines. So maybe that whittles things down just a tiny bit for you. But still waiting on that second word you guys.
Okay. Now, I know we have an E at the end, but I kind of want. The first thing that came to mind when you said theme was I wanted to say tempered, but I kind of want to go tamper. Because we need to get that
but it doesn't
A
end
in
with
there.
E.
Wait, but that's wait.
We don't need to have the E.
We don't need to have
Are
the
you?
E.
Look, you don't need to have the letters where they were originally, because what if there's another one?
Okay, but
All right,
Josh,
let's see.
we're
Let's see.
repeating. You know what? Lock it in.
Lock
Lock it in.
it
I'll
in.
trust you. I'll trust
This
you.
is a really bad guess, but
This
it's
is
okay.
a really bad guess, but we'll see what happens. Maybe the surprises are aplenty here in
True.
Proving Grounds. Hey,
Well,
so
there's
you
an A.
moved up 1 with the A. So now you just got to put it in the right spot.
So from this, we have eliminated 2 more consonants, and then
I will have
Got
to
it
give
all.
you a hint here, but I guess I do have to because it's a little bit confusing. I will tell you right now, there are 2 E's in the letter.
Oh, that's a big
And you
hint.
have 1 in the right place, at least in the back half of it. So I'll give you that one. I realize I chose a word with 2 of the same letters in it, and it might get confusing with the way we have things set up.
Sneaky.
So there are 2 E's in there, my friends. 2 E's,
Oh,
1 at the end and 1
you know what
somewhere
it is,
else.
Josh? You know what it is?
Where?
So the word is not brief, but you know how there's like an EA? That's gonna be like, it's gonna be an EA and then E at the end. So I just don't know what
Is
that
that
is.
what you think? Is that your educated
No.
guess?
Yeah.
That is
my-
really tough. See, I wanted to say something like charge because it had, the A and the E, but I also am really thrown off by the fact that there's no R here.
I'll give you a huge, funny little fact: is charge was actually going to be the word, but I changed it.
Okay.
I changed it to something else.
Okay. What about cleave?
Okay.
Right? Because you get the E in the right place. You get the EA.
You know
we
what?
haven't used a CNL.
I like that. We haven't used CNL. We haven't used V. That's a good guess.
All
I wish
right,
that was our
let's see.
second guess, but you know, here we are.
Hey, we gave you an extra one. All right, we got 6 now, so you get that one freebie. Let's lock in cleave and see what we got. Hey, look!
Okay.
You're moving up.
Wait, we actually got a V.
Oh my goodness! So you got both the E's now, and now you have an A and a V to move around.
Oh,
The
this
V
is
is
really
big. The V is
interesting.
big.
The V is big.
Yeah.
Wait. So then the A has. I think the A has to be at the beginning then.
Well, it could be where the
Right?
V is.
Avenue.
In theory.
Is it
That's-
Avenue?
Avenue. Okay, I like it. I mean, hey, if you guys want to lock in Avenue.
AVE
I'm down.
NUE.
Let's see what we got. And
Lock it in.
maybe we'll see. Oh,
Okay,
you
I know
got
what it is.
You're
I know what it
close.
is.
You're close.
It
What
was
could
the word I
possibly
thought
be?
before he jumped into Avenue, but that's okay. Got to give
All
Mark
right,
his
what
time
is
for the
it?
light.
Is it a
There you go.
All right, let's lock in Avenge and see if that's going to be the letters here. Let's go ahead and get that 5th guess in. We'll have that extra 6th one down there just in case.
Yeah.
Let's see, is it going to be it? And it is
Yeah.
Avenge, my friend. The Yordle of the day
Pay
is
no
Avenge.
attention to the different graphic that pops up.
You know, taking a famous quote from one of my my idols, Shrek. This is like an onion. Has layers. All right, we're gonna go with it because Avenge means so much in this context. We have talked about the history between these teams, specifically Ryoma versus the entirety of Team Liquid Academy, it seems. And I'm going to roll a little bit of a replay package because we're going to talk about some of that avenging that Team Liquid Academy did. I know they're no longer maybe have some of the affiliation with the Marvel stuff, but my goodness, they were some Avengers there. Because the first thing that we saw was them getting revenge on Ryoma.
Yeah.
From this get-go.
This was the kind of thing that there's not a lot of teams in the Academy ecosystem that could look to make this play all at once, right? You bring both the jungler and the support mid at the same time, and then there's so much like mechanical stuff that's going on at the same time that it feels like Team Liquid are just a well-oiled machine.
And they're just avenging their players here, right? That's the theme of things. Things start going the way of Golden Guardians Academy. They start looking at something, but the tempered fates come in. The whole team, you were caught in the spotlight of the sky, especially looking at like the way that they were immediately coming to the team's aid every single time. Bradley gets out somehow. Everybody at Golden Guardians dies. It's chaos, and honestly, it was such an avenging performance for Team Liquid Academy.
You'd see Bradley or Jan struggling or be in trouble, and then Golden Guardian's like, all right, we got this. And suddenly you see a giant horse in the sky. You're like,
Exactly.
oh no, they're coming.
Nay! And the general comes along. He's like, it's a good time. It's vengeance. You know, so you see why I chose that word. It's many layers to the situation, but Team Liquid Academy themselves come out swinging in the first game of this best of 5. I did hear we are ready for Champion Select for our second game, so we'll see what Golden Guardians Academy can do to bounce back. As Rafa and Joshi, we're ready.
Oh,
He didn't say take it away. All right.
he thought
Well,
about it. He thought about it.
He paused. He was like, I can't say the thing. Can't say the thing. Keeping me on my toes, as you know, he almost did with the Yordle. But I'm glad that we got there, dude. I don't know. I'm feeling kind of good now with the Avenue one. That really cleared up a lot.
There you go. Well, we are getting into Champion Select here, Mark, so we have a lot of cool things going on. Remember, this is not our last game of the day, unless there is an act of God that chooses to disconnect some of our players or something crazy like that. We have a best of 5! So now that I've jinxed it, I'll knock on wood a little bit, but we will have an opportunity to see more of these teams as we move in to our second game. They have swapped sides, and Mark, I don't feel like Team Liquid need to change much.
Nope. They're also on the blue side as well. Golden Guardians, obviously the changes haven't necessarily come from taking anything away from Team Liquid that worked out so well, but it is the flip of the playstyle for the marksman, taking the Kai'Sa and yoinking the Hecarim away for Iconic.
Yeah, and this Kai'Sa, the cool thing is that it can be played by both the mid lane and the bottom lane, right? We have seen that Violet has played mostly Jinx, but he's dabbled in a lot of different champions. And of course, Ryoma can kind of play whatever he wants. And so picking this up early means that you have lots of flexible opportunities. But at the same time, just because Armeo is not on the Hecarim doesn't mean that he's upset about it. He's still got the bear that he's been playing a lot of. The Nocturne is still available. And right now, we have some very obvious go buttons already getting picked up for the Team Liquid side of the map.
And this is interesting that Team Liquid, even though that the Bard wasn't threatened or it wasn't picked away, because of the situation they found themselves in, they didn't know whether they were going to be playing against the Tahm Kench again. I imagine that if you had picked the Bard early, there's a counterpoint or a counterpick option for Chime. Rakan feels much safer for Ayla. It also gives you flexible options in making the primary engage play happen or being able to deter and dissuade any engage options from Golden Guardians, because if they try to dive your backline, instead of going forward, you just charm everyone that is diving you.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a very big part for Jan, right? The safety that is going to be coming through, and I'm surprised to see that Chime going with the Alistar this early in the draft, right? The champion has, I feel, been a little bit underplayed, but outside of Cow God Yours, there's not a lot of people who have been really putting a whole lot of time into the Cow thus far, and so you have a lot of safety, both sides coming in with these really big front lines, and it feels like it puts a lot of pressure on the traditional back lines of Harry Jan and Ryoma Violet.
Yeah, it's definitely on the side of Golden Guardians that they are the ones saying, we want to engage, we want to dive, we want to really just press the accelerator and actually find these fights on our own terms, because when you looked at the way that they were trying to find fights last time, they had limited engage options. You know, Tahm Kench works, but outside of Tony Top, Viego is not necessarily the best engage option. It's more of like following up once everyone is stunned or locked down. So now that both Iconic and Chime are going to be super apt on making those engages happen, Team Liquid already trying to buckle down and try and pick as many disengage options as available and ways they can build a fortress around their backline.
And as we see, a lot of top laners are getting banned out, right? It is worth noting that Bradley, his most played this season, has in fact been the Gangplank, and he has a 100% win rate on it last I checked. But as the Blanc comes through, this is going to be going over to Ryoma, not something he's been playing quite as much this season, though it is Harry's most played. And you know, I'd be curious to see if Harry wants to go into the Ahri side of this matchup, right? He just played it previously, but they banned out the LeBlanc, and the Ahri does have play, but it is relatively difficult to go for due to the range disadvantage. So as Team Liquid try and deliberate on what it is that they're trying to do, this is an underplayed counter pick to LeBlanc that we haven't really been seeing, and I believe this is actually his first time playing it in all of spring.
And look at this, Team Liquid itemizing double magic damage for their solo lanes, which gives so much more value to the lethality build that Jan will be going for on the Xayah pick. I don't imagine that Armeo is going to be dipping that much into physical damage anyway, but this is already just a not only great composition that Team Liquid have built up in terms of damage spread, but also they are all playing to the same theme of peel off the diving threats, have ways to disengage and break open the fight once Golden Guardians make the initial engage.
I'm going to push back on that a little bit, Mark, right? Because while they do have a lot of different sources of damage, if you go lethality, Xayah, and then just regular AP, Gragas, and Vex, how do you kill Aatrox? You can't afford to do that, right? You have... You pray? You pray? Yeah. That's about it. That's what we're going to have to see.
That point was up until the Aatrox was locked in. And
I was
like,
yeah, that's fair, that's fair, that's fair. But even like Hecarim, right? If you go with full tank, you get that Frozen Heart out. It's so hard to take down the front line. And so I almost feel like this is going to be pushing Jan back into the crit style of Xayah, which is not the same way that you play the traditional lethality version of Xayah that we've been seeing. We're just going QE, 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 and just, you know, harass the crap out of the back line. This is going to be a very different style. And I feel like there's a lot of pressure put on Team Liquid to actually get these fights started first, especially since they're going to be the ones going up against the Kai'Sa, who's just going to be peppering them with their own poke.
Well, while we're having some time before we load onto the Rift, Josh, I want to pick your brain here and propose you something. I think I was talking to Smax, who was watching Avril's stream a lot, and she's been pushing a lot of like a early lethality build that then translates or transitions into a crit build later on. So like you get your your lethality mythic of choice, whether it's Eclipse or Prowler's Claw, and then you get Collector, and then your third crit item, and then into IE. And I imagine that against a tankier frontline like this, maybe you could go Eclipse, Collector, and then Lord Doms, and then IE, and then that way, the early game, you have that lethality to chunk out some of the squishier members, but then as people get tankier and more durable, you still have ways to, you know, transition and still spike as a crit AD carry in the late game.
I think that was a Viger V2 post, right? That he was the one who was usually talking about that. Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. But you know, we have a little bit of information that our audience doesn't, and that is that Yon has gone with a lethal tempo, which says to me that even if the build is good, it seems unlikely that he's going to be doing it. I feel like this is more going to be a Gale Force style of build, just like directly going for it in order to try and shred through all the tanks that are going to be in the front line. And you know, ultimately, at the end of the day, the job of the Zion is basically the same. You want to be staying alive throughout all these games, and that's something where I feel like Yon has really shined so far. Outside of his Zeri play, where he was the original Zeri player, he's a liver, right? He's not a lung, he's not a kidney, he's a liver.
I was wondering where you were going with that, and I was like, how? Where are we
But
going with this?
He just survives during a lot of these fights, and that's the big thing.
Yeah, I got you. I do really love watching Yon playing Zeri. Yeah, as you mentioned, that first clip that we saw on Twitter. Oh my goodness, that was ridiculous. And I know Zeri has received some, you know, nerf taps afterwards. But you know, if Yon ever does get his hands on the Zeri throughout the series, it would be a treat once again. But over on the flip side for Golden Guardians, we're seeing a lot of spicy picks already coming out. You know, Ryoma, you know, taking off the Azir, you know, late game scaling chains, and more so, I'm playing LeBlanc. I'm trying to snowball. I'm trying to cause chaos for the rest of the map. Even the likes of Tony Top is also picking the Aatrox, who, in a team fight, if he's unchecked and there's no Grievous Wounds available and a consistent damage from Team Liquid, this Aatrox will cause chaos.
I think we saw Sniper do this previously. Just like, look at the damage he's able to do just all at once. It's not going to do a whole lot more other than kind of be annoying, but he's taking a lot of Armeo's HP, and that does mean he has to, you know, go through pots a little bit faster, and you know, you always have to be a little bit careful. So I like what Tony Top is doing right off the bat. He knows that he's got this really strong early laning phase to play with, and you know, Bradley forced to go with the Drunken Rage just to kind of keep himself competitive instead of just getting bursted out while he has some damage reduction.
Yeah. Also gets the Grasping and Dying procs a little bit more reliably when he goes in for the melee on melee trades. But as we span out to the general scope of the game, because of the information that Tony Top was able to get onto the top side of the map, Iconic gets to have his clear mostly, you know, unprevented. They'll be ending up on the top side of the map, and I want to see if Armeo or Iconic is able to give Bradley a little bit of a warm welcome, the same way that Armeo gave Tony Top in game 1.
Yeah, notice that they are still kind of convening here in the mid lane. Armeo actually going with a very interesting potential path. Okay, going to be thinking a little bit better of it. But remember, Armeo ganked top last game, and in fact, we never saw Iconic really go towards the top side unless there was a larger skirmish going on. And the proximity between Iconic and Tony Top is exceptionally low, and it will allow Bradley to survive a lot of his difficult early lane phase.
And so far, nothing too detrimental for any of the players on the Rift. And I noticed that, as you were calling out, Armeo was, I think, just covering mid lane because either there was a suspicion that Iconic had looped around after the Wolves to make kind of a cheesy mid lane gank and help Ryoma in this spot, which is why Armeo got the chance to cover Harry. And we got to see, once again, how both of these junglers, you know, play. They don't necessarily always make plays happen, but they're looking for them, and they're looking for ways to see and just check and make sure that their laners are succeeding for the most part.
Oop. This heads up from Chime does mean that this is a pretty good trade coming in for Team Liquid. But yeah, I also want to point out that so far, Harry has done a really good job in this lane, right? He's been consistently landing the fears with his E and lining them up with an easy follow-up from his Q, and it has really chunked out Ryoma very heavily. And that's one of the things that we're going to have to pay a bit more attention to, is how well Harry's going to be able to prevent Ryoma from roaming, because Vex has a lot of tools to just hit the wave and, oop, good vision stuff from Iconic. Hit the wave and just make sure that there's no way for Rayoma to do much of anything. And if he can neutralize Rayoma throughout this early mid game, I think that'll be a big advantage going in for Team Liquid, where they have more control of the game later on.
Yeah, if this LeBlanc doesn't snowball, then it takes a while before the LeBlanc becomes lethal once again. You need to really rely on those item spikes coming through and hitting important breakpoints like level 11 and level 16 so that even if you don't snowball ahead, if you can snowball with a game from Iconic, that's one way to do it, but it is a ghost traded for Flash, and that might open up an avenue for Rayoma to succeed.
Yeah, I do like the fact that we get the accidental OOs coming out of you already. In this series, because after that game 1, it feels like everything else is just cute in comparison. But overall, this is a much quieter early game. We see a lead coming in for Harry, we see a lead coming in for Tony Top, but otherwise the game remains relatively steady across the board. And this is a bit closer to what I was expecting between these two teams, based on how much Ayla and Chime tend to mirror each other's roams, based on how Iconic and Armeo tend to be in the same places, that things either tend to be really explosive or kind of steady.
And so far, up until that point where Harry had Flash, he had mid-Prio for the most part against Rayoma, and Violet and Chime have not been able to contest Prio away from Yon and Ayla. It had been setting up for Armeo to sneak an early Dragon, but I imagine now the pressure is a little bit more against Harry this time around. Armeo would have to hover around, make sure that Harry is in a good spot before he pushes out for priority and start up this Dragon, but Armeo's confident enough that just for the bot lane Prio alone, he should be able to get the first Dragon of the game.
Yeah, you should have a pretty good read on the fact that Iconic clearing bottom to top. He's currently on his second clear, and it means that the horse should be very far away from this Dragon, and with nothing else to do, he's like, well, let's pull it, let's see what happens. And looks like they are going to be rewarded for it, and Bradley's going to be very happy, because at least this side of the map is going to be made up for on the fact that Armeo is fighting some early advantages for his team.
First Dragon once again going over to Team Liquid, as we saw in game 1. With the first 2 Dragons of the game going over without any contest from Golden Guardians this fast, that allows Team Liquid to put Golden Guardians on a timer. It puts them under pressure to say, hey, if you don't start making moves after the next Dragon, which will be spawning around the 11-12 minute mark, you're going to be super behind once again.
Yeah. So, as we kind of I don't want to overblow the advantage that this Dragon is, right? It's nice. You are happy to have it. You prefer to have it than not having it. But the rest of the game is still waiting for that first play. And this is, again, notice how Chime and Ayla both roaming at the exact same time. They're both chilling mid. And Ayla is going to be walking in to try and allow Harry to get a back off, because he wants to clear out these waves. But as soon as Chime shows up, Harry is like, this is not what I wanted.
Rayoma looking for the chain, and Ayla threatens it, but does he have one more battle dance? Looks like he's forced to flash. Nice timing from Iconic. Gets a summoner spell out once again.
Yeah, and a small lead coming through for Iconic once again. That's the second flash that he's picked up, and look at this, all the pings coming out from Golden Guardians, exactly pinning down where Armeo is. He wasn't here at the gank, so he must be trying to clear out the rest of his jungle. And as we see this game kind of stall out, it's kind of interesting to me to watch how Rayoma has kind of been struggling up against Harry so far, right? Harry has been one of these players that we're consistently looking at getting a strong laning phase, consistently looking to pressure his opponent. But earlier in the season, we were asking what this guy did afterwards, because the answer was he wasn't super impressive in his ability to convert these leads into win. But I feel like that's really changed over the course of Proving Grounds. A lot of players have leveled up and just like come in with a chip on their shoulder. And I feel like Harry's one of them, because he's been looking a lot more aggressive. He's putting out a lot more pressure, and this small lead, I feel, is going to explode much heavier in the next couple of minutes.
When you look back at how Harry used to dominate lanes, it was because of the fighter mids that we saw a lot of the time during Summer Split last year. The Lee Sin, the Set, all those things giving Harry a stronger opposition, but in the mage-on-mage matchups, or any AP matchups in particular, it always seems like Harry would struggle during the laning phase, but at least make up for it during the mid and the late game. The fact that he is consistently finding these advantages in the laning phase speaks volumes about his growth, especially against Rayoma.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is, right, we would say that he was this more consistent backlight, right? He was always looking to be playing off of Armeo, Bradley, and Ayla, but now he's starting to make the plays on his own. And with the ability for Vex to just clear this wave, and the fact that Ayla's already coming up, they did push Iconic off of the early Rift Herald, and It feels once again as though the supports are largely matching each other. The junglers are largely matching each other, and Zarmeo, yeah, we are going to see Team Liquid start this up because they have people here a little bit faster, but I think this is a bit risky because Tony Top is very strong right now.
Technically, Harry's Flash isn't still up yet.
Oh, the 1v1.
Is he going to find the 1v1 against Violet? Killer Instinct versus Featherstorm. Which ultimate is going to be better in this instance? Yon starting to realize that he is losing the 1v1. And the heal comes out. Killer Instinct force the flash forward, looking for the blade collar. Enough damage. Oh! Violet wins the 1v1.
Oh, super narrow margins between the two AD carries. I love the fact that they're just willing to scrap here, but it is Violet coming out on top in this one. So cool stuff coming through from both sides. The aggression is really good, but the bigger story is the fact that Golden Guardians won the pressure top lane because Tony Top had more control there. They are going to be the ones who pick up this Rip Herald, and while it's not the explosive early game coming up from Golden Guardians, the fact that they aren't super far behind means that they are much better than game one.
And it shouldn't necessarily be something that Team Liquid are super worried about, but when you look at Golden Guardian's side and coming in to question, hey, is this team going to be emotionally okay? Is their momentum going to be shaken after such a dominant opener from Team Liquid? This is how you answer back, winning the 1v1 as Violet against Yon.
Yeah. And again, Harry showing that he's very well versed on this Vex despite having not played it so far this season. And it feels like as this game goes slower and slower, we are going to have to pay attention to how these teams do set up these objectives. Mark, we do have Team Liquid already here first, and this is what they got a lot of their advantages off of in game one.
And Team Liquid find another way to look for advantages and start some of these fights off. As we noted before, it's not that Team Liquid don't have primary engage on this squad. It's a little bit harder than it is to force members back from Golden Guardians. And so for them, the key is to get to these objectives first before Golden Guardians make their march.
So Team Liquid, they're taking control. They're once again trying to prevent Golden Guardians from having any vision. Bradley's already hovering, and because of this, Team Liquid going to be rewarding themselves with another dragon. The bottom lane had already crashed, it just now set to neutral, and Team Liquid very happy with this, and Golden Guardians a bit too late.
Yeah, you see Chime was posturing for it, trying to see if Team Liquid would be wavered at all, but Team Liquid are like, bro, where's the rest of your team? What do you got?
Not much. Show us what you got, and turns out there's not a lot, but Tony Top going to be picking up another plate for himself. Tony has been showing himself to be a very self-reliant top lane throughout this season, and you see a bit of trading in the mid lane. Oh.
Okay, Ryoma has expended both uses of his distortion. Armeo
Younglers.
about maybe flashing forward or using his ultimate, but Iconic was also in the wings just in case things got a little crazy, and both junglers will not pull the trigger.
Yep. Good stuff coming through from Harry, right? He's not necessarily committing too many resources to that play. Didn't need to do anything, but now Ayla getting jumped on.
Psych.
Psych. Run away!
Oh, hold up, whoa! Javina's on us! We thought the play was over, but Ayla's on. No, it's go time, baby! They take out Violet in an instant.
Well, there you go, just turning it right on back, and Armeo once again finding this early kill for the side of Team Liquid, and it's going to be resulting in a couple of plates going over, but again, notice that Ayla, Chime, Armeo, Iconic, continuing to shadow each other all over the map. They're all there for the play, and it was only the fact that Ayla identified that, hey, Iconic can't help them out if we go fast enough, and that's the kind of thing that we love seeing from our really top tier supports. Oh, okay. Well,
the exchange of thumbs up from both top laners.
Yep.
But we took a look back at this replay. It is all about Ayla recognizing as soon as Chime using his main engage options, it's also his main disengage option. So there's nothing that can save Violet after had already expending both Killer Instinct and Flash in the 1v1 with Yon earlier. But back in the mid lane, and Harry's in deep trouble. He still has Flash, and look at Ayla. He is able to protect this mid laner in a 2v3.
Creating so much chaos. The fact that Harry gets out of that one is ridiculous, and now they're going to be stopping a lot of pressure coming out from this Rift. It should get the crash off, but it doesn't even do it. Team Liquid, the coordination is there, and now Ayla looking to punish Ryoma.
Oh, Golden Guardians. I mean, Ryoma, he's throwing out the emote for jokes, but I imagine that deep in the back of the mind of Golden Guardians, that is kind of the emotion they're feeling right now. It's like, dude, all of the plays that we're making outside of the 1v1 has gone awry.
Yeah, haha, maybe a little bit less haha when it actually comes out that way. It's been a bit of a rough road so far for Golden Guardians in terms of getting things done, but stopping plays is not enough for Team Liquid, right? LeBlanc is always going to be creating pressure later on. We know Ryoma, again, one of the most explosive players in Academy thus far, is going to be looking for all these flanks. He's going to be trying to find opportunities to get in, but Harry's done a good job pinning him to the mid lane. He hasn't had the wave clear on this LeBlanc in order to get out into the side lanes. He hasn't participated in any of these skirmishes, and he's just casually down 30 CS as we crest the 15-minute mark.
And as you predicted, Josh, it is the Gale Force that has come through for Yon. Just normal crit scaling, identifying that Golden Guardians are going to have quite the meaty front line. So you need an extra sharp knife to cut through all them bones.
All them bones. And yeah, I think it's going to make a lot of sense for Yon. It does change the way this composition is going to be looking to play now that you have a consistent damage source. But at the same time, I feel like most of the gold lead across the map still is up in this top lane, right? Tony with 4 plates already picked up, very strong already on this Aatrox. He's got the Gore Drinker. He's going to be coming into these team fights, and there's not a lot of real grievous wounds coming out from the side of Team Liquid just quite yet. They don't have a way to deal with the monstrous healing, and they're going to need to find somebody else that can pick up the grievous wounds. Maybe it's Ayla with the Chemtech Future Fire. Maybe it's going to be a Morellonomicon, but they're going to need to do something in order to prevent these massive front liners from just sustain taking their way through the fight. Yeah,
because normally you would think that you would have, enough time as a support to stall out the Chemtech Future Fire, get your Mythic first, and then get to the second item. But Aatrox is one of the few champions where the instant he gets Gore Drinker and level 11 ultimate, that is enough healing where it's already a problem. And it's only an Ignite as the only grievous wound, so if they come to a 5-on-5 fight, I imagine that Ayla's going to be thinking in his mind, do I want to use this Ignite for the juicy target, or do I want to save it for the big bad Aatrox that is coming to commit massacres on the battlefield?
Yeah, well, they might not have to think about it just quite yet, because Team Liquid are already grouping up the exact same play that we've seen. They got the bot lane wave in, they're getting the mid lane wave in, and they are all here first. And now here comes Chime, going to have to face check. He does get the ward down, but he's got a limited number of those, and Violet's poke isn't online yet.
Team Liquid keeping Golden Guardians at bay for now. Bradley actually trying to see if he can force Iconic to use his ultimate, but they just take him out instantly. The Ignite was also used, and watch if Tony Top can turn this one around, but the Gore Drinker and the World Ender healing is not enough to keep himself as the threat. In fact, he can't even keep himself alive because it's Team Liquid that are routing off the members one by one. Harry finding another Shadow Rush to force Ryoma out of the quadrant, and it's the 3rd Dragon of Team Liquid, putting them at soul point.
Look, if they can't beat you in the early game, they're just going to beat you with the same playbook this time around. They're just there first. They're there. They pull the trigger. They find an isolated member, and Golden Guardians aren't ready to respond to it. This is why Team Liquid has been the complete package ever since Ayla came back. They're constantly able to find these isolated members, and people who don't even feel like they're out of position, Team Liquid proves that they are. Watch how quickly they go for this, noting that Ryoma is not around. Iconic, he's right with the rest of his team. And immediately, Team Liquid are like, is he though? Is he? They knock him away, and they prevent anybody else from doing anything. There's no help that can come through because Ryoma's too far away, and the barrel just keeps him away from the rest of the team.
That's beautiful layering of crowd control from the Team Liquid members. Just knockback into stun, into fear, into another knockup. There's just no chance for Iconic. Once you first enter the first round of CC, there's no chance. And Bradley wants to come back for more. Instant body slam flash, forcing the flash out of Violet. Chime looking for a re-engage, but the knockup cannot be followed by any damage dealers.
Okay, Tony
finds Iconic first, and Tony Top once again just does not have enough healing to threaten Team Liquid in this fight.
Yeah, all the healing in the world doesn't matter when you are going 1v5 as Tony Top. He's just taking damage from every single person, and that is enough to turn things around. Team Liquid, again, finding every single opportunity. Now, there is one flub that I do want to point out that Team Liquid made, because at this point, when they are winning so hard, I get to be a little nitpicky, right? I get to look for these opportunities, but Team Liquid are still just blowing everything out of the water by controlling all the space that they need to.
Josh, I feel like we're watching game 1 all over again. It's nowhere near as devastating as a deficit. In fact, Golden Guardians are doing a pretty admirable job in the early moves that they have made and keeping themselves even in terms of gold. But it's 3 dragons to Team Liquid. Once again, they're at Soul Point. It's under 20 minutes, and this time it's an Ocean Soul that's on the line. If they pick that up, I mean, how do you cut down this team as Golden Guardians?
Well, you ask, like, who's going to be building the Grievous Wounds, and you look at the Golden Guardians roster and say, well, none of them really want to, right? It's not a great item for any of them to be picking up. You want to be able to grind out these fights, and so it's on Golden Guardians now to be getting to the next Ocean Dragon first. But Team Liquid, they're crossing their T's and dotting their I's. They're making sure that they're there. And yes, Golden Guardians are here, but it's too early.
Okay, well, Armeo gets caught out here. Ignite comes out as well, chunking him to half HP. But the rest of the damage follow-up is just not enough. Ryoma's lurking around in the pit. Maybe he can look for a pick, but Harry fears Ryoma, forcing him back over the pit. And once again, Golden Guardians looking for something, but it's thwarted by Team Liquid.
Yeah, Team Liquid, I mean, Team Liquid are just calm. There's like, yeah, you know, we are going to get out of here. And I feel like that's the thing about Team Liquid is not only are they in the right places first, but they're also just willing to disengage in ways that a lot of other teams wouldn't be. I feel like if we were watching almost anybody, any other jungler that wasn't Armeo, they would have fought that to the death. But Armeo's like, no, we're good. We don't need to fight this. There's no reason, there's no reward for taking this fight. We don't know how many of them there are, and that's the kind of communication that we look at from the general of Team Liquid in order to make sure that they are never going to be putting themselves in large deficits.
Yeah, if you see your fearless leader getting caught out, you might think, oh god, we need to save them. But if he's calming you down saying,
nah, son, I got you.
Yeah, I'm walking out, don't fight, it's all good. And then like that composure is going to keep Team Liquid with a steady head going further and further into this game as the Ocean Soul is getting closer and closer, Josh, a minute and a half away now.
And again, watching the people who built up these early leads, Harry has been one of these players that consistently finding these leads and now needs to find his way into the fight. He did a good job last time. He got a couple of big resets. But this is his opportunity to showcase that he can do even more than that. He can work with Bradley to isolate these individual targets and then potentially reset them. Force everybody apart with that fear. And Team Liquid, they're already starting to set up the dominoes, right? They are in the mid lane. They're getting damage on this mid lane turret. They are going to try and find some mid lane priority. Watch to see who they send bottom lane in order to clear out the wave. It's going to be Harry. They want to make sure they don't have any waves pushing against them when the dragon actually spawns, when they have to go for the fight. And every single time, Team Liquid are making sure that they are not leaving any gold on the table before these dragons spawn.
Yeah, still, it's less than 1,000 gold deficit, but it feels like the advantage is far more than that for Team Liquid outside of the gold itself, just because of how we've seen the cleanliness, the execution from Team Liquid in these mid-game fights. We've talked so many times before throughout the season that when Team Liquid gets to this state of the game, this is their best moment. This is where they look the best. And normally it's the laning phase that they struggled with against better teams.
But look at the flick from Chime.
Okay, well, if Chime and Ryoma can find this, maybe this will be the turning point. Iconic is revving up the engines, looking for the engage onto the backline, but Armeo is screening them. Yawn dodging out on the engage beautifully with the Feather Storm. And if you can't touch Yawn, then you cannot touch this team. As Team Liquid, Armeo gets routed out. Violet is one that picks up the kill, but the rest of Team Liquid are pushing strong. They've already taken out jungler for jungler, but the health advantage is on Team Liquid's side.
Yawn played that so well. There are so many threats from every single angle, and now Team Liquid feels strong enough to actually try and pick up this dragon with no junglers. The poke's going to be raining in from Violet, but Chime, he doesn't have the HP to really go for an engage.
Now Violet is stepping up forward though, and with Tony Top in his back pocket, it's enough that it's forcing Team Liquid back. And Ryoma has teleported. Chime,
nice flash, nice flash!
Oh, but a beautiful flash! Dodges out on the engage.
The
and
reset!
Don't tell me that Team Liquid, the dragon is reset. Who's gonna get Harry? Flashes in and secures the Ocean Soul for Team Liquid. And a couple members might bite the dust now for Golden Guardians, but Team Liquid have gotten the prize that they wanted.
Oh my god, what a crazy series of events to come through. Once again, Jan staying alive throughout the crucial part of the team fight, and I can't believe the Dragon reset at a perfect HP for Harry to be able to pick it up. But now, even with this turret going down, yes, there's a gold lead for Golden Guardians, but notice the fact that they are the ones who still have the objective bounties marked. They're the ones who are still behind, and how do they overcome just the raw healing from Team Liquid?
A summoner has disconnected.
Oh, and
Conic doesn't want to.
We gotta pause.
Absolutely crazy stuff, Mark.
I always find it hilarious when the pauses happen after such a big fight, because in my immediate joke mind state, I'm thinking the player that paused or DC'd is like a ref. They got the Ocean Soul. That's a bug, right? That's not supposed to happen. They didn't have their jungler. I was dead. How'd they get?
See, I thought you were going to be like, oh, no Johns, right?
Yeah.
You know, we were still playing it through. If you're lagging, you got to pause it in the moment. But it is a situation where it feels like Team Liquid are super far ahead, but it's not insurmountably far ahead, I feel, in a lot of ways, right? Because Ocean Dragon, the Ocean Soul, keeps you alive in these longer, drawn-out fights. It makes the Aatrox and Hecarim less effective, but it doesn't do anything up against the LeBlanc, who's still going to burst you 100 to 0. It doesn't matter if you heal for 500 over 3 seconds, because you're not going to be alive that long.
The other thing, too, now is even though the gold lead is technically in Golden Guardians' favor, they have objective bounties, Josh, with a gold lead. The game is telling you that, yes, you are behind, and we're going to give you ways to catch up, despite the fact that you guys are the ones that have a gold advantage. Yeah. And for Golden Guardians, I imagine that the way they have to get back in this game is holding, stalling out, and finding ways for Ryoma to flank Yon, to flank Harry, and neutralize them before the start of the fight.
Oop. Yeah. Well, as we look at that, let's take a look at some of the cool-ass things that Jan does over the course of this fight, right? He plays it so well. He's got threats coming from the top, he's got threats coming from the bottom, but he's able to weave his way between them, and once he finds the pocket that the AD carriers are always looking for, it's like a quarterback, right? You just look for the spot where nobody can actually get to you, and once you've done that, you're able to just free hit on whatever target you want, and he's able to do that again towards the latter side of this fight, right? He's able to flash out the reaction time. He knows that China's looking for some kind of flank, and as soon as he sees it, he flashes out of it. He finds that pocket once again. He's able to free hit, and they get a little lucky that this Dragon actually resets, and he's able to just continue hitting, but it's definitely a position where for everything that he did prior to this point, or to set them up for this Ocean Dragon, I feel like it is okay that eventually he goes down. He played the rest of it so phenomenally.
But can that performance carry on forward now that we are at the state of the game where Team Liquid have the Ocean Soul, they have this advantage that, you know, speaks beyond just gold itself. It is about the state of the game. And for Golden Guardians, you already just witnessed a game one that Team Liquid took so dominantly, so assuredly, that even though it is not necessarily in the same manner, the Golden Guardians have not been at all shut out by Team Liquid, but still the gravity of the way the Team Liquid are playing this game feels so overbearing.
Yeah, we will see how well Team Liquid translate the fact that they have been setting up for the objective bounties on the bottom side towards the top side, because now we're going to be starting to look towards the upcoming Baron that Team Liquid was able to get at 21 minutes last time. Now they're going to try and do it a little bit later on, but they've just been so good at controlling the objectives. They are not giving up any gold on the map whatsoever, and as they start to move around, I feel like Team Liquid, just the composure with which they play the game has been what is setting them apart throughout all of 2022 spring.
2022, Josh. New year, new me, and in this case, a new squad as well. Great looks from Team Liquid, just showing so much growth that extends beyond just the split itself, as you know we've talked about before. Ayla coming in halfway through the split. This Team Liquid squad didn't get to really play with its full strength until we are already well into the second round robin. But now you're getting to see what I think we can agree that we believe is the peak form of what Team Liquid Academy get to be.
Yeah, this is definitely the strongest version of Team Liquid, right? You know, obviously there is a question of, you know, Jenkins played really well last season, but Chime doesn't find anything. Jenkins looked really good last season, right? As one of their big ways that they were manufacturing team fights later on. Bradley has been a bit more volatile of a top laner than Jenkins was last year, but he's kind of made up for it in a lot of his ability to just make plays that Jenkins never would have. His ability to find some of these flanks, some of these 1v1s, and with a much wider style of champions that he has been able to play. Now, as Team Liquid are lining up, they're trying to find enough vision control that they can push back Violet, who has this W online. He's now going to be throwing these out every single time they hit. It is going to be reducing the cooldown on the next one to 3 seconds.
That is some obnoxious poke coming in from Violet, and it's
It's
one
like
of the
Facebook,
reasons why.
The Zoomers are like, what are you talking about?
They don't know, Josh. That was a mid-2000s thing.
Only 90s kids will remember.
Yeah, only the 90s and the millennials will remember the dark days of the Facebook poke. But for Team Liquid, thankfully, they have something that we didn't have: regeneration.
What? They have that?
Yeah. You know, the Ocean Soul. You know,
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
you get poked by
okay.
the Kaisa W, but then you just, you know, hit the minions a few times and
Yeah.
you're back to full health.
See, my favorite thing about the Ocean Soul is whenever you get hit, you just hit them back and you heal up. You're just like, hey, slap. And you just like chug 3 potions all at the same time. So as Team Liquid are kind of setting up, right, they are a little bit stalling out. I'm kind of surprised that we aren't seeing them play a little bit more heavily towards the top side of the map, but there is an alternative win condition to the Baron, right? If you get the Elder Dragon, then you should be able to win any upcoming fight, and now Team Liquid are in fact going in. They're starting to take control of this side of the map, and once they have control of the top and the mid, ooh, they are going to be in a much stronger position to actually try hitting this. They do it very healthily, if not super quickly.
For Team Liquid, they feel undeterred in taking down this turret because Golden Guardians are just trying to find ways then, rather than contesting them, because knowing that Team Liquid are super strong at this point, they have to expend resources trying to pick up the objective bounties across the map. There's still a couple that are somewhat easily takeable if Golden Guardians don't have any response from Team Liquid in this outer mid turret and the bottom tier 2 turret. But Team Liquid never sending more than 3 people towards one side of the map to make sure that they always have defense protecting that gold bounty from going over.
Yeah, and it's important to note that Bradley, who is kind of taking a slacking from Tony Top early on, is in a position where he's nowhere near as worried as he was previously, right? He's going to be able to sustain almost all the damage that Tony Top was doing previously, whereas now he's just able to kind of take it and just be like, yeah, you know, this is totally all right. But Team Liquid, they're lining up. They're here very early, and that can actually bite them in the butt. If they are here too early, it gives Violet too much time to just kind of hit them over and over again. And it is going to be on Team Liquid to deny the vision or to create some space to make sure that Violet just doesn't get to do this for the next 50 seconds before the Elder Dragon spawns.
And normally, teams that are so far ahead don't want to allow the game to get to this point where the Elder Dragon can be flipped for, but Team Liquid are putting the vision control game down so well that Golden Guardians are going to have a hard time of getting in, just in range of the pit, let alone flip for the objective itself.
Yeah. And here, Ryoma, for the first time actually hitting one of these structures, is going to get matched by Harry momentarily, so there won't be a real opportunity for Ryoma to take this down. Oh, excuse me, just way more damage than I thought he did. But it is still going to be a situation where Harry can still join. There's double teleports for both mids. They can both look to join up very quickly, and look at that, Ryoma already here first. So potentially the first time that Team Liquid aren't firmly in control of the Dragon as it spawns, because Ryoma has found his way into this flank.
And you know, I respect that Team Liquid don't want to take the fight in the pit and start up the Dragon quite yet. They want to make sure that Golden Guardians are far enough away, and they look for control now as
Here's Tommy.
nice blue ward spots a wild Tommy Lay in the bushes here. You gotta be careful if you are Team Liquid about this as well.
Yeah, and as the pokes does start to rain through, Team Liquid haven't yet started the Elder Dragon. They want to take a fight first. The Elder Dragon actually getting picked up is really dangerous. They do not want to take a flip, and now, because they're here so early, because Violet is still on this, they're looking for an opportunity to just fight.
You know, had it not been for that Void Seeker giving brief vision of Ayla, swooping in with the Battle Dance, maybe Iconic wouldn't have seen the engage coming. And even though Ryoma is only 0-0-3 on the LeBlanc, you cannot disrespect the potential damage that he has right now. He has on 3 items, has enough magic penetration to pierce through. Bradley, looking for the explosive cast, immediately forcing the flash out of Chime. Gonna make his engage options a little bit more difficult, but he still has Hex Flash if he can get in position. Now Ryoma, I don't know if he has snuck on through without Team Liquid knowing, but they're saying, screw the Elder Dragon, just force the fight on the Violet. They burned the flash, and they close the distance. The Killer Instinct, though, it's huge. And look at the damage that came out. Armail's gonna fighting the dust after this, and Ryoma making his pick. Yawn gets founded out by Golden Guardians, and somehow, Josh, Golden Guardians find the miracle fight, taking out 4 members of Team Liquid.
Yeah, Golden Guardians able to turn things around. Violet under no threat whatsoever. The Kai'Sa creates so much space, and Golden Guardians just able to react to the overextension from Team Liquid. As soon as their plan of going for these dragons stops working, suddenly Team Liquid look a little bit lost, and Golden Guardians know exactly when to pounce. And Violet, we haven't talked about him that much other than the fact that Kai'Sa's broken, but he is 6-1-2, 100% kill participation. He is, as we said, just right-clicking people over and over to create the space. There's no real threat coming through, because Harry's ultimate doesn't land. There's no way for them to actually take him down. It's just Ryoma coming around on the side, making sure there's no way for Yon to stay alive with no damage left. Team Liquid are on a route.
Yeah, that damage that came out of Violet's Kai'Sa on Armeo melted him. He was at full HP, and then the Void Seeker comes out, completing the 5-hit passive, and then suddenly, boom, 3/4 of his HP instantly gone. And that just warps everything in Team Liquid's fight, because they overextended, using so many of their disengaged resources as engage opportunities. Team Liquid then didn't have anything to fend off Ryoma, diving Yawn into the back line. And now Team Liquid, even though they picked up the Ocean Soul, they just lost the Elder to Golden Guardians. Thankfully for them, it's temporary, whereas the Ocean Soul is forever. But this is a point where, as Golden Guardians, I imagine this is where you have to press on the gas. You have to just look for pick after pick and be unrelenting in your pursuit to close out Game 2.
Yeah, when these buffs fall off, the game will go back to a fairly even state. Yon keeps himself barely alive, but this is the pressure coming out from Violet. Remember what Doxa was like, I'm 6-0, just follow me, I am so fed on this Kai'Sa, and then he's going to be putting pressure on the other team. This is what Violet is doing right now. Just play to me, just ignore everything else. I am going to poke them, and with only 40-50 seconds left on this Elder Dragon, it's going to be losing some time, but as already 2 turrets are going down, Golden Guardians going to start poking over these walls.
And look how the gold lead has exploded within the past 2 minutes. It was even for so long, and now it's suddenly 8,000 ahead for Golden Guardians. All the objective bounties they picked up, all the kills they got in months before the Elder fight, and now they have just suddenly warped the entire control of the map in their favor. They have eliminated 2 inhibitors off the back of 1 push from the Elder Dragon and the Baron buff, and Golden Guardians are now pushing Team Liquid to the very brink of the defense of their base. Golden Guardians, if they're able to close this game out while they still have the Elder Dragon buff, if they can find the kills necessary, they will take Game 2. But it's got to be up to Team Liquid. It's got to be how well they can persist and endure amongst the siege, amongst the Kai'Sa Void Seekers, pelting them down. And it looks like the Elder Dragon buff for now has expired, and Team Liquid can find a chance to breathe again.
That's still a lot picked up for Golden Guardians, though. They're now 8,000 gold in the lead. Violet, once again, has been doing so much work for them, and he's the target that Team Liquid needs to find. They need to find a way to get Harry there, to find the extra fear, to find a little bit of extra damage, because Yon, he can't get there. There's no way he's going to be able to deal with it all on his own. And now, as the last wave coming through of the Baron is here, there's still so much damage coming through from Violet every single time he walks up.
1 Void Seeker does about half of Yawn's HP. If it wasn't for the open soul, he would not have a way to be able to sustain back up. Ayla buying some time with the stasis, but that might have been critical because Golden Guardians have now just taken out the support for Team Liquid. Tony Top burning the World Ender, looking for another follow-up engage, but it just pushes Team Liquid back and away from the defense of the outer turret. The only one that stands before that it is guarding the inhibitor.
Violet!
And Violet looking for the play, but a stasis from Yon. Ryoma will follow up, and he ensures that the assassination onto Yon is completed. Golden Guardians, when they were down an Ocean Soul, they were down in control throughout the game. They never let go of their confidence. They held on, and this is a series to behold, Josh. We are going to a game 3.
Harry's still trying to defend it, though. Don't count him out. Ayla is back up, and I think they might actually be able to hold this.
Tony Top, I might have spoken a little too soon.
Okay, just kidding.
They still have Violet, and they're taking out the Nexus. The Team Liquid defense is not enough, and Golden Guardians take game 2, and they're all right.
There we go, and it is going to be right on back to a 1-1. We said these guys 2-0'd each other back and forth during the regular season. The last time these orgs played against each other was super close in the best of 5, and Golden Guardians are going to be swinging right back, and that is how tight this series is really going to be. It was one missed engage coming up from Team Liquid that took them from a dominant position to ending the game in Golden Guardians' favor, and as long as Golden Guardians can stabilize like that, I feel like we're in for a log series, Mark.
It is so insane that your control of the game, your dominant lead, this almost untouchable grasp and control of the game can be taken away in just one fight. All it takes is one fight, and just props to Golden Guardians for holding on, for really showing us how to endure such a what seemed like an unwinnable game. But Team Liquid, they stepped too far, as you said, Josh, and Golden Guardians strike back.
It felt like a game of 280 carries this time, right? Where last game was Ayla just uncontestedly dominating the game. This time it was Yon having some fantastic hiding moments throughout the course of the game, just able to keep himself alive in situations where it felt like he shouldn't. But eventually it was just Violet who quietly just amassed so much gold that he's able to use the range that Kai'Sa is able to do. And once Violet is that far ahead, it doesn't matter how well Yon is playing. He's never going to be getting in range to touch Violet anyway. And the difference between these two just feels like something that occurred in draft.
What more can you say, Josh? At this point, Golden Guardians have shown us that we are in for a series. I'm not going to say the phrase, because you already know that it's in our hands. For us, though, we're going to be taking a break. When we come back, it is game 3 and post-game show once again with Mazal on the desk.